recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios Brisbane on 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Z Games.
With 10 years experience and over 500 episodes,
Z Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture.
Want to reach out? Message us on Facebook at ZEDGamesAU.
This is Z Games. I'm your host Paul, and joining me tonight is a Peter.
Yo!
And a Zahra.
Oh, hello.
You thought the age hierarchy of experience would put you at the top there, did you?
I did.
I knew the expectation was there, so I flipped it.
That's fair. I needed to be humbled
instead.
like that. I did. Ooh.
Yeah, that's
anyway,
right. Down a peg. Welcome to this radio show about video games, which we will be discussing at some kind of length tonight.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yes. But I'd like to kick straight into the news so we've got something to chat about. So we're just going to do that right now. So we'll see you again, I don't know, what, in 4 minutes and 40... Toby. That's some long news. Okay. Get ready for some Unity chat.
Let's go.
Yay.
This week in gaming news, Starfield hype, Unity meltdown, E3 is dead, long live E4, and some extra tasty gaming bites. Starfield hype. This week marked the launch of Todd It Just Works Howard and Bethesda's shiny new RPG, Starfield. Starfield went supernova, instantly becoming the biggest Bethesda launch of all time, and since its release it has hoarded over 6 million players, with over 1 million concurrent players, shooting it into the stratosphere when counting over all platforms. With official mod support coming next year, PC players have had the hardest time since release, with Intel and Nvidia systems copping the brunt of the issues. Todd Howard's response for people with PCs? You might need to upgrade your PC. Unity no longer for the gamer. Unity, the game engine behind Rust, Hollow Knight and Pokemon Go, and the controversial creative AI Unity Muse and Unity Centus, has introduced a controversial new fee for developers. Yay! The runtime fee set to take effect in 2024 is a per-install fee that will apply to games that reach a previously established annual revenue threshold and a lifetime install count. Indie developers are concerned that this new policy will kill smaller games, with a new system severely affecting their bottom line, and leading devs of free-to-play games questioning if they'd end up owing hundreds of thousands of dollars or more under the new system. Unity's attempt to provide clarity have so far only fueled devs' frustration and spawned more questions from those with both currently active and in development games using the engine. This has led to warnings from industry professionals such as creative director at Necrosoft Games Brandon Sheffield, stating in an op-ed for insert credit, "But now I can say unequivocally, if you're starting a new game project, do not use Unity. And if you started a project 4 months ago, it's worth switching to something else. Unity is quite simply not a company to be trusted." After a grouping on the evening of September 12, Unity clarified their previous statement, claiming that they will only be charging for the initial installation of the game, reversing their previous stance that multiple charges will be made for reinstalls. Unity also stated that the fee will now only apply to monetized titles, and that charity games and bundles are exempt. However, the announcement has raised further questions about the impact on the free-to-play genre, as well as demo installs. Further, concerns remain about how installs will be tracked, with a potential for abuse by bad actors, and devs concerned about the need to implement third-party DRM or digital rights management into their games. E3 is dead, long live E4? With the earlier announcement this week that PAX organiser ReedPop and E3 had cut ties, it may come as unsurprising news that E3 2024 is in doubt. The Entertainment Software Association, or ESA, who runs E3, have also informed the long-standing home of E3, the LA Convention Center, they will not be there in 2024. However, according to news site GameIndustry.biz, they are working on a complete reinvention of the E3 show for 2025. We live in hope. And now for some gaming bites. About to load up Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty DLC? Best check your system with lead scene programmer CD Projekt Red's Philip Persinski imploring gamers via tweet to check system stability and to please check conditions of your cooling system in PC. And feeling old? Well, Steam just turned 20 on the 12th of September, and 25-year-old fan site Atari Age has been acquired by Atari. And now for some upcoming games. Friday, September 15, Baby Shark Sink and Swim Party comes to PC, PlayStation PlayStation, Xbox and Switch, and tech-themed 3D platformer Botty Biteland Overclocked comes to PC. Tuesday, September 19, start your week with an open-world high fantasy strategy RPG in Dragon Air Silent Gods coming to PC, or race to your parking space in You Suck at Parking coming to PS4 and Switch. Can You Become a Real Boy and the Pinocchio Souls-like Lies of P coming to PC, Xbox and PlayStation. And lastly for Tuesday, Mortal Kombat 1 comes to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and Switch. Wednesday, September 20, kick Animal Butt in the brawler/party game Party Animals coming to PC and Xbox, and put the shooting or spell slinging in the S of FPS in the dark fantasy roguelite shooter Witchfire coming to PC. And finally, Thursday, September 21st brings free-to-play Medieval Warfare PvP Warhaven to PC. Want to release your Inner Addams Family thing within to defeat some feat? Then play Super Adventure Hand coming to PC and Switch, and to finish, Payday 3 is coming to PC and next-gen consoles. And that's all this week in gaming news.
That was a significant amount of news there, Toby. Thank you for that. Yes, the big news of the week has been Unity trying to destroy their entire business model for short-term games.
Yes.
Which actually, I would say probably on the whole, most people around me are already sick of talking about.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Especially as things just keep changing.
I want to keep talking about it, but at the same time, it's just like, it's evolving so quickly.
And I
so
just
volatile.
get more and more mad each time.
Yep.
And it's just... I kind of just want to let everything fall into place and then sort of like come in like it's a crime scene investigation and try and figure out what happened.
There's a few reactionary things, but also it is just an absolutely terrible business model. I don't see anyone wanting... Because basically the risk is if you do well, depending on your business model, it might be worse for you to do well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is not a great model for people.
Yeah, and I do want to be clear to people that there are alternatives. There are other game engines.
Click and Play, Game Maker.
I know quite a few people have made the switch to Unreal.
Yep.
Here, talking about things that are modern. God, you people. I mean, I guess Game Maker's still modern. I guess there's still some things out there. Anyway, Click and Play was my original. Oh, so good. So happy
That's right.
times.
We'll all switch over to PowerPoint.
Ooh, now that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, that was the first engine I technically ever made a game
First
with.
horror game I ever played was a PowerPoint.
What kind of game was that?
It was a horror game.
Okay, good. Glad we clarified that.
The very first horror game was a PowerPoint game, and it scared me.
Oh.
Your own game scared you?
No. The very first horror game I ever played.
Oh, played.
I didn't even know that, like, games... My brain was still
I assume
cooking.
It was a thing that was a jump scary thing. And
it was a bit of a jump scary thing, but there was a lot of suspense up to it. Really good use of clip art.
Click forward. Oh no, a scary girl face with a screaming sound.
I'll have you know, it was a poorly drawn demon face that was drawn in MS Paint.
Those are the scariest.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's definitely scary.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Unity,
Down
that's a
with
long
Unity.
cliff to be waiting for them to fall to the bottom on.
They've been pushing their luck for a while, but it wasn't really enough to start turning, because so many people, their entire investment base, their skill set is all in Unity. It's like they're not going to change unless they're real. But now
You've done it. You've given people enough motivation. Now they're fed up.
Yep.
Well, there's also there's a lack of trust.
Yeah.
They did it in a very bad way. I don't know what the good way would have been,
It's
but
like-
not this.
I know that, like, I'm pretty sure they clarify. I'm putting that in quotation marks. That, like, it was the new contract,
You're
quotation marks.
describing it about as well as they do every time they clarify.
It would come into, like, would take into effect at the end of the year. And it's like,
Well, Cult of the Lamb said they were deleting Cult of the Lamb on January 1st. That was a joke. But, depending on what happens, those things may not be jokes in the long run. It'll be interesting
And
to see.
this keeps going back to my point about games preservation and how easy it is for it to be taken away.
Oh, yeah.
We're great at stealing stuff. You go to archive.org. Oh, so much stuff. It's great. Good work.
Licensing, like, it makes sense, I guess, from a developer and publisher point of view, but in the end, for consumers and historical record keeping and things, it's just absolutely horrible.
There's so many games I wish I could play again.
Yep. What can't you play? I'll let you play it tomorrow.
I don't even remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Because I played it before I could read.
Oh, well, it may just be a false memory, like a Berenstein's Bear situation.
Oh, I don't think so. This one was pretty...
Yeah. Well, the biggest one was just games that have hardware limitations of like, I really would like to play Steel Battalion again, but I don't have the now incredibly rare big mech controller for the original Xbox.
Yes, that would be a little bit of...
And without it, why are you playing that game? That's why that game exists. So.
Yeah, trying to play that game with a normal controller was nightmarish.
I'm now going to Google Steel Battalion, you said?
Battalion. It was a game... it was
like a mech simulator.
Capcom, was it? Basically, Microsoft wanted them to make games that said, as long as that you can also just make whatever you want. That's insane.
What? This is crazy. This was like something that aviators would use. Like, freaking pilots.
That's pretty much what they were going after.
I think there was foot pedals and then the whole deck around you. That a lot of it was dedicated to communication in game, but multiple sticks and buttons to do stuff. I only got to play it at a museum. Apparently, it was happening at the museum years ago. They had a game thing. And they had it there playable, and it was actually really fun and really good.
That's really fun.
Trying to play it with a controller was nightmarish because you'd have to hold it in a weird certain way just to try and actually get it to move.
Oh.
Yeah, it was not the greatest.
It's the reason it came with a $200 controller.
Yep.
Which really, with the size of it, was quite a bargain. But yeah, it was part of Microsoft trying to attract Japanese talent to make stuff for the Xbox.
Yep.
Anyway, enough of the olden times. This is Zed Games. And joining me are my very good friend Zahra.
Hello.
And Peter.
Hello.
We're his very good friends.
Aww.
Toby, can you isolate that for us, please?
Yep. Please, Toby.
I'm a very, very lonely
man. Can I get that on soundboard, please?
Speaking of soundboards. Hang on. Hey! I'm going to shoot some things and jump around in a very fun review. Maybe, I don't know. Please listen and find out.
Stay
friends.
tuned.
Very good friends of mine. That's right. Tonight, I am going to be reviewing Gunbrella. I'm sorry. Gunbrella is the new song game by Doinksoft, published by Devolver Digital. It has, you see, your character has a gun, but it's also an umbrella.
No,
never been done before. I'll lay up on that soon. So yeah, side-scrolling pixel art. It's an interesting game because it's almost entirely focused on the aforementioned Gunbrella. It is a shotgun, which also pops open as an umbrella, which you can use as a shield. You can also ram things, and you can also launch yourself into the air and float down like Mary Poppins.
Of course.
You are sort of a bit of a Western character. Your family has been, your wife has been murdered and your child stolen, and you're out to rescue your child and get vengeance for your murdered wife, which sends you on a bloody rampage. And while it's pixel art and quite funny, it does get a bit gruesome at certain points. There's a lot of blood splattering around and sometimes some story beats, which, you're straight up to murder some people. So not for little kids, but also it is still pretty accessible for anyone into a bit of a horror fantasy in a post-apocalyptic, slightly Western sci-fi world where you have a gunbrella.
That's so many words, Paul.
Yeah, I like stringing them together fast. So, really, the great joy of the game is the movement. So the gunbrella lets you... I have to say that word so many times when you talk about this game.
I'm just visioning,
So basically, it acts like as a dash that you can do anywhere. So if you jump off a wall, you can dash. As soon as you touch ground again, you can dash again. So it means at all time you have quite a long dash, which means when you're fighting a boss, especially the first boss of the game, because the levels are actually kind of easy, because if you drop down beside someone and shoot them in the back with a shotgun, that's normally the entire fight. So then you get up to a big monstrous boss, and shooting them with a shotgun didn't seem to end anything, and they sure are hitting me a lot, and I don't have any... Oh wait, I've got a gunbrella that can launch me into the air and I can get to the other side of the arena in half a second. And you do have to use the full extent of it once, especially in the boss fights. Yeah. And that's probably... This is kind of only the only downfall of the game is the pacing is incredibly weird. You start the game, as I say, it's fun to navigate. It feels really nice to move. You're fighting. It's all satisfying. Get to the first boss. For me, bit of a spike in difficulty, but that's all right. That's pretty normal. Yeah. I don't know. It took me a few goes. Get through it. Cool. It's a cool boss. About, 10, 15 minutes later, I'm hitting another boss that's cool and impressive and all that. And then the boss has kind of disappeared for a long time.
What do you mean disappeared?
Well, like you get to later in the game, there are some like long-term antagonists that will just like get killed when you like in story when you get up to them. There's no fight. I'm like, I kind of thought I'd fight that person later in the game, but oh well, I guess not. It's not a huge deal, but it is like it's weirdly stacked at the beginning and then also at the end, obviously, because they've got a big finale. The game just is. It's not linear. You literally do go along a train line for most of it, but you can go back and forth on the train line. You're just sort of mission-based, but it's a linear story. But interestingly, it does have choice in it. And whilst I have absolutely no doubt that every choice basically takes you the same way, it will change some of the characters who exist and what perks you can get and things like that. And some of them, I really do want to replay the game, which I haven't done because it is about 10 hours long, because I think there might be a couple of sections that can only exist if you make one choice or the other, because the story would go there. And without saying anything about the ending, for something that's kind of just a standard sort of revenge tale with kind of a standard revengey ending, there's a coda to it, which I thought was actually really, really clever and kind of touching in many ways, and sort of gave a little bit more weight to the world, which was a bit throwaway on the whole. But I do like the characters, and it's a very well thought out, fun world to explore. It feels really good. It does one of my favorite things, and not giving the nature of it, but during through the game there is a transition state, so it changes the nature of all the places you've previously been. Ooh. I love games that do that, whether for an event happening or a time skip or whatever. It means it's like familiar places that are now different, and I always like that. The world changing is always a good aspect. Yeah, it feels good. And I didn't really know. Like I said, it's like 8-10 hours. I didn't quite get the exact time on my copy, but I didn't really know where it was going to go. Eventually I said, okay, well, obviously the story's going to end there, but I've gone on some side paths and I thought it was going to be like you just go along the train line and that's the whole game, and no, it's got a lot more in there. And actually, this is the other big caveat. The Gunbrella is awesome, but you do get ammo for other things, but it's rare and quite expensive. Okay. So by the end of the game, where I suddenly had like all this other ammo, the Gunbrella is great. So it's kind of pointless. Yep. I'd just like get grenades and I'd sell them for the money to upgrade my Gunbrella.
The Gunbrella is just too good.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of like everything else sort of falls by the wayside. They don't give you a reason to really explore that other stuff. Yeah. So it kind of didn't even need to be there if you want to experiment a bit more. But also because swapping weapons, there's not a pause wheel or anything. So swapping weapons in combat is not...
That can be very fiddly.
Yeah, especially if it's a twitchy sort of fast-paced one.
Yeah, it's very fast-paced. I kind of think speedrunners will do very well in this game, because if you get the whole dashing, shooting, on Gunbrella and going, you can get a really good flow going in the game.
So good flow is nice.
That's Gunbrella. It's available today on PC and Switch. Nice. Published by Devolver Digital, and I played code provided by the publisher. And one more, that is, of course, Gunbrella.
Yeah, I'm just imagining Tom Holland.
Every time. Hey! I had the slightly longer clip that I decided against the... I just thought it would take too long every time I did it.
Yeah, if you did it every time, that would be a little... But I'm glad that you had that, just so that we can fill that in our heads.
Yeah. I don't know what that clip's from, but it's really... It really worked. Welcome to Z Games. I'm your host, Paul, and joining me today is Zahra Peter.
Zahra Peter.
Yeah,
I like this.
I've done a Cronenbergish style fly experiment and merged you together into one single.
I feel like we'll become a person of average height.
Probably. I've recently been watching Star Trek Lower Decks, and they've just done a whole episode about Tuvix.
Oh, yes!
So as much as your monster, I prefer to be Tuvixed instead.
Yeah, okay. I do. I did enjoy that.
We can't go on a Star Trek segue. It is too dangerous.
Yeah. Only good modern Star Trek is Lower Decks.
Ooh, there is a new game that's like that, though, that I will talk about next time.
Ooh.
Will you?
Yeah, it's kind of combining Warhammer 40k and Star Trek.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more fascism?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Okay, before we get too derailed by fascism, it's time for, of course...
I don't do this.
Sing it to us, yeah.
This is Paul's thing. Oh no! Woo! Let's go with Fern Flower. Developed by...
Who's it developed by, Zahra?
Fern Flower is a beautiful stylized 2D platformer.
You didn't say it.
No. It's a beautiful... I don't know how to pronounce it. And I don't want to. It's a beautiful stylized 2D platformer where you hop up a mountain collecting fern flowers, mystical plants that are supposed to grant you good fortune. And I'm reviewing it now because it is a wonderful mobile game that is easy to learn with very simple controls, but tricky to master. And if you ever enjoyed games like Ice Climber or Flappy Bird, then may I suggest checking out Fern Flower for a beautiful spin on a pretty simple concept.
Or Doodle Jump.
Or Doodle Jump.
Thank you.
Thank you. Climb as high as you can and collect as much as you can along the way. You'll start out at the base of a mountain, and simply by tapping the left or right side of your screen, you'll hop up in that direction. You'll need to hop left and right to ascend, and you must keep moving. Tapping for longer will allow you to hop a bit higher. You'll come across little collectibles and fern flowers, of course. Hop onto them, pick them up, and hold on to them for some upgrades. One upgrade is a jump start, where for a smallish cost you can get a head start on your climb, launching up effortlessly for a boost. The other is a magnet, to make it easier to collect your collectibles. In time, you can unlock other characters, each with their own bonuses and features that can make your climb easier. It's pretty simple, and it is beautiful, but it's also rather challenging. The mountain changes shape often, bringing you thin pathways to hop your way through, or wide gaps that need some strategic hops to get the right arch to get across. Snow and ice will slow you down, and strong gusts of wind will blow you right off the mountain. You'll have to learn to navigate these challenges. Between the art style, how meditative it is, and the references to Slavic mythology, as well as the relaxing and tranquil music, it is a soothing experience. And I find myself entering that flow state that allows me to zip up the mountain. That is, until I fall, because I botched a jump, but that's okay. I can climb that high again, and it is possible to use some of your collectibles to simply continue where you left off. Just make sure you don't immediately make the same mistake.
I did.
Yeah.
I use the thing to just go for my last jump, and then I just miss the jump again.
Yeah, it's like the exact same thing. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. It was the gusts of wind.
The gusts of wind were tricky.
They're the worst parts. Yeah, so because I always like to make sure I kind of know what everyone's talking about, so I downloaded the game.
Which
I couldn't.
Yes.
So on my Android phone, it said it wasn't compatible with any of my Android phones, either last generation or this.
Oh.
But I don't know why, because I went and just grabbed the APK and it installs fine and plays fine.
Oh.
So
okay.
I kind of think it's because I haven't updated it since 2019. So I think they might just need to tick a tick box for compatibility or something.
Yeah,
for the new
and I downloaded
generation.
this game a year or two ago, so it's just kind of been...
Certainly would keep work. And as I say, I installed it today. Only thing I always hate when you hit the monetization of, I'll just go, oh no, I've hit the watch an ad option. Just let me pay you $1. Okay, I'll give you $1. I'll give you $2.
Yep.
The game was quite nice and sweet, I thought.
Yeah, it is quite nice. It's a nice little game.
It's a nice little game!
Whoop, whoop! Nice little game.
Yes. Good.
I forgot that there's a silence after the outro.
Yeah.
You do whatever. We're very official around here.
So you're listening to Zed Games, is that it?
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Hello, you're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games. You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Perfect. Thank you.
And here we are on the serious gaming show, Zed Games.
Yes.
I have prepared another review.
No way.
3 reviews! 3 reviews!
What is this?
I'm going to mention I have film qualifications.
Okay, go.
Okay. So now, for our third review of the evening, I'm going to be talking about It's a Wrap.
Oh!
Yes. By, Chonko Soft or something? Chanko Studios. Sorry, I don't know, I got Chonko in my brains. Anyway, this is a puzzle game. And it is a puzzle game that I really, really like the concept of. It is based in the world of film, which is something weirdly enough, is bigger for me than games, and games is pretty crazy. So in this, you are on set making films, and the main mechanics of the game is solving puzzles by basically playing with a timeline. It looks kind of like a video editor, where you had a script at the beginning of a level and says, okay, you run along and a boulder comes down and chases you down the corridor, and then at the last second you jump. And on that timeline, you have different elements like the boulder and when the roof collapses and stuff like that. So you're lining up all the effects.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as the gaming changes, there's different kind of effects. So there might be things that loop and things that are set in place and explosions, all sorts of things. So you have to work out the timeline to make it work. But it's not just a static puzzle game where you've got to work out the timing. It's also a platformer.
Oh.
So once you've set up the timing of the scene, you say action, and you, as your little Mario-style man, runs through the level and has to actually perform the task as the script said to get to the end of the level. So you'll run along and go, wait, if that wall's fallen down already, I can't jump over that, so we're going to cut and I'm going to go back and move those elements. Okay, now I can get through it. So sometimes it's a matter of you got to work out the pattern, and sometimes it's a matter of pure execution. But the levels aren't particularly long, so that's not a big drag or anything. In fact, everything other than actually playing through a level, which you have to do in real time and you can't reverse or anything because the whole conceit is you're a stuntman and you've got to perform the level as a one go.
Yeah.
Everything else is really, really just cares about your time. Every cutscene, of which there's quite a lot because it's sort of a cheeky story, there's a button to skip. There's also a fast forward button.
Ooh, that's fun.
In fact, everything you can sort of fast forward, and the scanning through. And if you think you've got like a theory of how to beat a level, you can save that state and then try something else in case. And then, oh no, wait, I'm going to go back to what I did before, so you don't have to redo all the work you previously did. It's quite a thoughtful game in that way. It has quite a lot of features. It also has quite a lot of accessibility features for color blindness and I think dyslexic fonts and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So for a small studio, small game, it's pretty good. So you basically go through 3 main movies, and each of those has 12 or so levels in them. The early ones, take you a minute to beat, and later on it becomes way more complex as you go through. It actually has a lot of variety as well, because you're not always just the little man. Sometimes you might be driving a vehicle or something. So it's all the same basic mechanics and concepts, but every level they add in something new. Help-wise, they've got a hint system in it, and you can spend your hint coins on, you can either choose one of the elements, you could choose all of them if you want to spend all your points, but to lock it in its actual position where it's supposed to be, so it sort of cuts down the amount of variations you could have.
Yeah.
But also, you can spend it on the script to be more detailed.
Oh.
So depending on how you want to attack a puzzle, if you are struggling with it, maybe you just need the thing of and then he jumps off the tank. I'm like, I'm supposed to get on the tank. And without actually telling you what the solution to the puzzle is, just giving you that direction of what you're supposed to work out.
Yeah, that little bit of extra bit of information.
Yeah.
Definitely would help.
It's a very clever little game. I found it pretty fun to play. And it's available Switch and PC.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't play my Ella button again.
Oh, come on.
I was thinking about it.
I
was going to, but it's just a tight little package. It's because it's a puzzle game, and it's really, really varied on some levels for me. Some of the tougher levels I'd understand immediately.
Yeah.
So
and others
sort
are
of about, I'd say probably around the 5-hour mark-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was really fun, and it's a really unique little game. With sort of the art kind of reminds me of WarioWare, but less crass.
That I have seen some clips of the game. It's a wrap, and yes, that feels correct.
Yeah, it's fun. Sells its concept, gets out of your way. I think that is another. It's a pretty good game! Ha!
Would you say it's a wrap?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that because I'm not a hack.
Boo. And ouch.
We all know I'm a hack. Anyway, I think it's time for
another review.
4 reviews!
4 reviews in an episode?
Has it ever been done?
I don't know. Maybe. How are we going to beat this? I don't know. 5 reviews?
Hey, another review.
Tired of the hustle and bustle?
Yes.
Over the 9 to 5? Fed up with a relentless grind? Might I recommend Fishing? Fishing and Life, or Fishing Life, is a mobile game about fishing and life, I suppose, if fishing is your life. It's a 2D side-scroller where you can putter out in your little tinny, cast your line, and hopefully get a bite. The game is all stylized, and it is quite pretty with a day-night cycle that you can observe. Quite simply, you can cast your line, watch the fish bite it, and once it's hooked, you can reel it in. It doesn't make you do quick time events or balance a bar in a circle or solve for X. Cast, hook, catch. Except you will have to upgrade your rod, line, and reel. Each fish has a level requirement, and it takes a bit of trial and error to understand the requirements. But it's as easy as making sure you upgrade your gear as often as possible. Bait, of course, is also important. Whatever fish you catch can be turned into bait, allowing you to catch bigger fish. Some fish don't require bait at all. Some require a bait level of 1 star, others need 2, and so on. And of course, to catch bait worthy of being 2 stars, you need bait that's worth at least 1 star. And if you do manage to chain together catches so you have the right bait for the shark you're trying to catch, you must babysit the bait and line when you cast it to avoid some kind of pleb fish from taking that tuna I'm using as bait. It's heartbreaking when your bait is stolen. Fishers will understand.
I'm very sad.
You can buy bait, of course, and a number of other tools to match your fishing style. Sinkers, special lures, all sorts of bits and bobs. Have an experiment. It definitely helped when the line could sink more quickly. How do you buy all this stuff, though? With each fish you catch, you can keep it or set it as bait. If you keep it, it goes into the fishing net. After that, you can decide whether you like to sell it or put it in the aquarium for some passive income. Spaces for fish are limited, so you'll have to keep on top of them or buy extra slots. If you put the fish in the aquarium, they will generate income over time. They also require being fed, which requires watching an ad.
Boo!
I ended up letting the fish stay until they were tired of making money and then sold them. But as you catch rare species, this becomes a less appealing method of making money. You can also find treasure chests, some of which will give you currency or doodads straight up, and others that require you to watch an ad before you can claim the currency.
Boo!
Which is fine, except I played this offline, and turns out that once you have an inventory full of chests that you can't redeem or remove, well, you can't pick up the chests that can be unlocked without ads. One unexpected mechanic has been unlocking and catching the boss version of a fish. If you catch enough of a species, you can unlock the opportunity to summon a boss version of that fish, which gives you a limited amount of time to catch. The first one was a shadow imp, which is hilarious. Imagine catching 10 snappers, and suddenly a giant demon snapper appears, and you have 2 minutes to catch it. Otherwise,
Sounds like
Fishing
Tuesday
and
night.
Life, or Fishing Life, is a pretty relaxing game, but it is a grind. You have to keep catching what you can so you can upgrade your gear so you can catch different types of fish. I stopped finding this cycle enjoyable after a couple of hours, but it's great as a game you can pick up, play a few minutes of, get some rewards, and then put down again. Much like fishing in real life.
It's a pretty okay game!
Woo!
We could start
4
yelling,
reviews.
we could start yelling review scores like during the end bit. Just go, it's 6 out of 11. Great.
I think this game is 3 fish hooks out of 6.
Oh, that is
With
something.
an added bonus
It's-
demon.
Yeah,
Yes.
with a demon hook in there. For
All
some.
good.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us on Zed Games tonight. We are going to say goodbye now. So good night, everyone.
Good night. I love you all.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games.
If you'd like to listen to more, check out our podcast on Spotify.
Or follow us on social media at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.